All right, let's get right into it. Have you ever just stared at a blank page, you've got this mountain of research, and you're trying to wrestle it into a clear, powerful argument? We've all been there. But what if I told you there's a simple, almost foolproof recipe for writing the perfect paragraph every single time? Well, today, we're going to break down a method that does exactly that.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about the challenge itself. Then, we'll introduce the PIE method as our secret weapon. After that, we're going to tear apart a real example to see how it ticks. We'll explore why it's so effective, and finally, we'll wrap up by handing this powerful new tool over to you.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Writing a great paragraph. It sounds pretty basic, right? But honestly, this is where a good research paper becomes a great one, or, where it all just kind of falls apart. The real trick is making sure every single paragraph you write has a clear purpose and really packs a punch. Does this look familiar? You've got the quotes, you've got your facts, but when you lay them out on the page, they just feel random, disconnected. Like you've just made a list of interesting things instead of building a solid, cohesive argument. Look, this is probably one of the biggest frustrations in academic writing, but the good news is it's totally fixable.
And that brings us right to the solution, the PIE method. And I want you to think of it less like a rigid, stuffy rule and more like a recipe from a great cookbook. It gives you the essential ingredients and shows you the right order to put them together for a perfect dish every time.
So what exactly is PIE? Well, it's an acronym and it stands for Point, Information, and Explanation. It's a beautifully simple structure that's designed to make sure every body paragraph you write is focused, backed up with solid evidence, and then clearly explained for your reader.
Let's break down the steps. You always start with your point. That's a clear, crisp topic sentence that tells the reader exactly what this paragraph is going to be about. Next, you bring in the information. This is your evidence, your quotes, your data, and then you hit them with the explanation, which is arguably the most crucial step. This is where you analyze that information and show how it proves the point you made right at the start.
Okay, theory is one thing, but seeing this method out in the wild is where it really clicks. So now, we're going to deconstruct a perfect gold standard paragraph. We're literally going to take it apart piece by piece so we can see exactly how the PIE method builds such a rock-solid argument. All right, here's the full paragraph. Just take a second to read it through. Pay attention to the flow, how it presents its evidence, and especially how it connects all the dots. This right here, this is what we're aiming for. Now, let's break it down.
It all starts right here with the P for point. This first sentence is the topic sentence, and it's perfect. It's a bold, unambiguous statement that lays out the entire agenda for the paragraph. There's no mystery, no beating around the bush. Your reader knows exactly what you're setting out to prove.
Okay, now this next sentence is a pro move. It's not technically part of the core PIE formula, but it's brilliant. It adds this little layer of context, briefly explaining the how behind the main point. It just sets the stage perfectly for the evidence that's about to drop. And boom! Here comes the I for information. This is the first piece of hard evidence, a direct quote from a primary source. Using a specific, impactful quote like this one grounds the entire argument in concrete proof. It's not just an opinion anymore. Now it's backed by actual data.
And now for the E, explanation. This is where the magic really happens. See, the writer doesn't just drop the quote and walk away. They take the time to explain its significance. This analysis is so crucial because it connects the evidence, the I, directly back to the main point, telling the reader exactly why that quote matters.
You know, a really strong paragraph will often layer its evidence, just like this. Here, the writer brings in a second piece of information, but this time it's from a secondary source, an expert climate scientist. This adds another powerful layer of credibility. It shows that other experts in the field agree with the claim.
And this is just a masterclass in how to wrap it all up. This final bit of explanation weaves both pieces of evidence together, hammering home the main point one last time. And just look at that final phrase. It's a perfect, seamless transition that leads the reader right into the topic of the very next paragraph. So smooth. So, we've seen how it's done. Now let's talk about the why. Why is this PIE structure so incredibly effective? I mean, it's not just about being neat and tidy. It's about being genuinely persuasive.
The power of PIE really comes down to this. It forces you to have a clear focus from the very first word. It makes you ground your arguments in actual, real evidence. But most importantly, it forces you to explain the significance of that evidence, which is the absolute heart of good analysis. It helps you build this logical, credible, and seamless argument from top to bottom.
And that brings us to the home stretch.
your new writing tool. We've taken the method apart. We've seen its power. Now it's all about making it your own.
From now on, I want you to think of the PIE method as your personal blueprint. It doesn't matter if you're writing about climate change, Shakespeare, or ancient history, this structure gives you the foundation you need. It's the key to finally transforming that jumble of ideas into clear, organized, and truly persuasive writing.
So I'll leave you with this question. This isn't just another writing tip, it's a new framework for thinking more clearly and arguing more effectively. You now have the blueprint, so the only question left is, what powerful argument are you going to build next?